created by Hector, who is the Blackcat Ransomware Group, and understand the damage caused on business worldwide and their impact in 2024. Blackcat, a notorious ransomware gang, burst onto the scene in November 2021. Blackcat, also known as ALPHV and Noberus. By extension, it is also the name of the threat actors who exploit it. Blackcat has since established itself as a formidable adversary, targeting high-value victims with a sophisticated and uncompromising approach. The FBI linked this ransomware gang to over 60 breaches worldwide during its first 4 months of activity between November 2021 and March 2022. ALPHV has also raked in at least $300 million in ransom payments from more than 1,000 victims until September 2023, according to the FBI. How does the gang do it? The gang operates on a Ransomware-as-a-Service (RaaS) model, with developers offering the malware for use by affiliates and taking a percentage of ransom payments. Then, for initial access, the ransomware relies essentially on stolen credentials obtained through initial access brokers. After this, the group will then use its mental and psychological intimidation techniques and use all its resources, directing victims to look at its public data leak site to pressure victims to pay ransom demands and inflict mental domination. What sets Blackcat apart is its relentless tactics and unwavering determination. This cybercriminal collective operates with precision, employing a double extortion strategy that has proven devastatingly effective. By not only encrypting sensitive data, but also exfiltrating it before deployment, Blackcat has left its victims facing the daunting prospect of both operational disruption and the potential for public exposure of their most confidential information. The group's modus operandi is a testament to its technical prowess and meticulous planning. Gaining initial access through phishing emails, exploiting software vulnerabilities, or purchasing access from other cybercriminals, Blackcat then meticulously navigates victim networks, escalating privileges and mapping out critical systems. This strategic reconnaissance allows the group to identify high-value targets and maximize the impact of their attacks. Initial access. The first step in Blackcat's modus operandi is gaining a foothold within the victim's network. This is typically achieved through the exploitation of software vulnerabilities or the use of phishing emails, luring unsuspecting employees into revealing sensitive credentials. Lateral movement and reconnaissance. Once inside the network, the Blackcat operatives move laterally, escalating their privileges and meticulously mapping out the infrastructure. This extensive reconnaissance allows them to identify the most critical systems and high-value targets, setting the stage for the next phase of their attack. In 2024, Blackcat's reign of terror reached new heights, with a series of high-profile attacks that garnered significant attention. One of their most notable victims was CNA Financial, a major insurance company. The attack on CNA disrupted the organization's operations, leading to substantial financial losses and reputational damage. Let's take a moment to understand this key point. Ransom demands are also increasing, with the average demand reaching $1,571,667, a 102% jump. The previous quarter and the highest since Q2 2022. Additionally, the average ransom payment rose to $626,415. Let's learn what businesses can and should do in ransomware defense and attack, and explain who are Corvus and what is the advice in a company backup plan when facing a ransom attack. Corvus is a cybersecurity company that specializes in providing intelligent insurance solutions and risk management tools for businesses. Corvus Insurance is headquartered in Boston, Massachusetts. As for the leadership, the co-founder and CEO is Philip Edmondson. Their approach often involves using data analytics and technology to help organizations understand and mitigate risks, including those related to cyber threats. When it comes to advice for a company backup plan in the event of a ransomware attack, Corvus typically emphasizes the following key strategies. 1. Regular backups ensure that data is backed up regularly and stored in multiple locations, including off-site or in the cloud. This makes it more difficult for attackers to access. 2. Backup checks. Regularly test and verify that backups are complete and can be restored effectively. This helps ensure that data can be recovered without issues. This is important. Number 3. Access controls. Implement strict access controls to limit who can access sensitive data and backup systems. This reduces the risk of insider threats and unauthorized access. Number 4 is the incident response plan. Develop and maintain a comprehensive incident response plan that outlines steps to take in the event of a ransomware attack, including how to restore data from backups. 5. Education and training. Regularly train employees on cybersecurity best practices, including how to recognize phishing attempts and other common attack vectors. 6 is continuous monitoring. Utilize monitoring tools to detect unusual activity that may indicate a ransomware attack in progress, allowing for a quicker response. By following these principles, companies can enhance their resilience against ransomware attacks and ensure that they can recover their data with minimal disruption. Corvus emphasized that a company's backup strategy is crucial in determining whether it pays a ransom. Businesses without strong backups are more than twice as likely to pay, while those with effective backup strategies have seen median claim costs 72% lower than their less prepared counterparts. Let's talk more about Blackcat, and was reported and the gang who certainly was to be behind the 2024 Change Healthcare ransomware attack. Unformidable Change Healthcare paid a $22 million ransom to recover data after the attack. This was a big mistake. Dealing with these pure scumbags would make you vomit. The ransomware attack earlier this year on UnitedHealth-owned health tech company Change Healthcare likely stands as one of the largest data breaches of U.S. health and medical data in history. This was pure evil. Change Healthcare processes billing and insurance for hundreds of thousands of hospitals, pharmacies, and medical practices across the U.S. healthcare sector. As such, it collects and stores vast amounts of highly sensitive medical data on patients in the United States. Through a series of mergers and acquisitions, Change became one of the largest processors of U.S. health data, handling between 1/3 and 1/2 of all U.S. health transactions. Here's what has happened since the ransomware attack began. February 21st, 2024. First report of outages as security incident emerges. It seemed like an ordinary Wednesday afternoon until it wasn't. The outage was sudden. On February 21st, billing systems at doctors' offices and healthcare practices stopped working, and insurance claims stopped processing. The status page on Change Healthcare's website was flooded with outage notifications affecting every part of its business, and later that day the company confirmed it was experiencing a network interruption related to a cybersecurity issue. Clearly something had gone very wrong. The nightmare and the mistakes. February 29th, 2024. UnitedHealth confirms it was hit by Ransomware Gang. It turns out that Change Healthcare invoked its security protocols and shut down its entire network to isolate intruders it found in its systems. That meant sudden and widespread outages across the healthcare sector that relies on a handful of companies, like Change Healthcare, to handle healthcare insurance and billing claims for vast swathes of the United States. It was later determined that the hackers initially broke into the company's systems over a week earlier. On or around February 12th, a chance missed a big chance. After initially and incorrectly attributing the intrusion to hackers working for a government or nation-state, UnitedHealth later said on February 29th that the cyber attack was in fact the work of a ransomware gang. UnitedHealth said the gang represented itself to us as the ALPHV/Blackcat, a company spokesperson told TechCrunch at the time. A dark web leak site associated with the ALPHV/Blackcat gang also took credit for the attack, claiming to have stolen millions of Americans' sensitive health and patient information, giving the first indication of how many individuals this incident had affected. Blackcat is a prominent Russian-speaking ransomware-as-a-service group. ALPHV/Blackcat leaders create malware that their affiliates, who are contractors working for the gang, then use to infiltrate target networks and deploy. They're mostly as dumb as dog shit and pure losers. The leaders then take a share of the ransom payments made by victims to regain access to their data. Typical stuff a bunch of misfits will do without guilt. Once it was clear that the breach was the work of a ransomware gang, it shifted the focus of the attack. Unlike government-led hacks, which often aim to send a message rather than expose millions of people's private data, financially driven cybercriminals follow a different strategy to secure their payout. From March 3rd to 5th, 2024, UnitedHealth paid $22 million in ransom to hackers, who then disappeared. In early March, the ALPHV Ransomware Gang went dark. UK and US law enforcement took down the dark web leak site, which had recently claimed responsibility for the attack, and replaced it with a seizure notice. However, both the FBI and UK authorities denied involvement, having attempted to dismantle the gang months earlier. Evidence suggested ALPHV had run off with the ransom in an exit scam. An ALPHV affiliate responsible for the hack on Change Healthcare later posted that the gang's leadership had stolen the $22 million ransom payment as a ransom and included a link to a single Bitcoin transaction on March 3rd as proof of their claim. But despite losing their share of the ransom payment, the affiliate said the stolen data is still with us. UnitedHealth had paid a ransom to hackers who left the data behind and disappeared, not even loyal to their vile, made-to-pure basket case was Blackcat right to the very end. A fake law enforcement seizure notice posted on Blackcat's dark web leak site soon after receiving a ransom payment of $22 million. Months after the February data breach, a substantial proportion of people living in America are receiving mailed notices informing them that cybercriminals stole their personal and health information during the cyber attack on Change Healthcare. However, a payment dispute between Blackcat and an affiliate involved with the attack has resulted in a Blackcat representative claiming that the group is shutting down and selling the source code for its ransomware products, same shit different mask off course. This dispute has been viewed as a potential exit scam by the developers, as most are in the world hacker safe zone of Russia. Things went from bad to worse for Change Healthcare in the months ahead thanks to a group who says, "Fuck you, Jack, I am right," and now have a future of pain. The lawsuits when your business makes errors are this. The lawsuits allege that Change Healthcare didn't protect the plaintiffs and class members' personal and health information, leading to data theft. In the motion, Change Healthcare argued for consolidation due to common questions of fact and law. They stressed the need for consistent standards in pretrial matters and to avoid inefficiencies and conflicting rulings. Change Healthcare proposed the Middle District of Tennessee as the consolidation location, citing their headquarters, key witnesses, and evidence there. However, on June 7, 2024, the JPML transferred and consolidated the lawsuits to the District of Minnesota before Judge Frank, deeming it the most suitable location. 6 lawsuits were pending at the time of the motion. The lawsuits allege that Change Healthcare didn't protect the plaintiffs and class members' personal and health information, leading to data theft. In the motion, Change Healthcare argued for consolidation due to common questions of fact and law. They stressed the need for consistent standards in pretrial matters and to avoid inefficiencies and conflicting rulings. Change Healthcare proposed the Middle District of Tennessee as the consolidation location, citing their headquarters, key witnesses, and evidence there. However, on June 7, 2024, the JPML transferred and consolidated the lawsuits to the District of Minnesota before Judge Frank, deeming it the most suitable location. 6 lawsuits were pending at the time of the motion. By the time the pretrial order was issued, the number had swelled to 50 and more are expected to be filed now that data breach notifications are being mailed to the affected individuals. The first pretrial order was issued on August 14, scheduling the first meeting for September 17, 2024, to establish preliminary procedures and appoint temporary interim counsel. It has been 7 months since the ALPHV/Blackcat ransomware group breached Change Healthcare's network and used ransomware to encrypt files. The attack caused massive disruption due to a prolonged outage of Change Healthcare's systems, and the Change Healthcare data breach has affected a substantial proportion of Americans. With systems unavailable, healthcare providers suffered serious cash flow problems due to the inability to claim for the services they provided. UnitedHealth Group offered financial assistance to struggling healthcare providers and advanced more than $9 billion by the end of Q2 2024. Yet, even that huge figure was not enough. The financial problems continued for healthcare providers long after Change Healthcare systems were brought back online due to the huge backlog of claims. 7 months on, and some healthcare providers are still waiting for their claims to be paid. Cyber attacks can be remediated fairly quickly, but the disruption can continue for months. 2 months after the Change Healthcare ransomware attack, providers were still having difficulty verifying patients' insurance information. A survey conducted by the American Hospital Association indicated 60% of providers were continuing to face challenges with checking insurance coverage, and 86% said they were still experiencing disruption to the claim submission process. No healthcare cyber attack has caused as much disruption as the Change Healthcare ransomware attack, and there is concern that the cyber attack on Change Healthcare may not be an isolated incident and could signal the shape of things to come. The Change Healthcare cyber attack stands out due to the months-long and large-scale disruption to healthcare services across the United States, but it is unlikely to be the last. The huge disruption caused and the massive costs involved could prompt nation-state actors to conduct more attacks targeting key infrastructure, and the huge ransom payment could trigger a new wave of big-game hunting for cybercriminal groups looking to secure massive ransom payments. Action is clearly needed to improve defenses and ensure that something like this can never happen again. The Change Healthcare cyber attack served as a wake-up call to the healthcare industry, prompting many to review their IT and cybersecurity priorities and contingency plans to prepare for a similar incident in the future. Some of the key steps that are being taken include reviewing third-party suppliers and financial intermediaries to identify potential weak points, addressing any weaknesses, and developing incident response and contingency plans to minimize disruption in the event of another attack and prolonged outage. A recent survey conducted by Kloss Research and Bain & Company, Link, on 150 U.S. healthcare providers revealed that 70% of respondents had been directly affected by the Change Healthcare cyber attack. Cybersecurity was already a key priority for those organizations. Cyber attack has prompted them to increase effort and spending, build redundancy to mitigate future risks. In response to the attack, 44% of respondents said they had arranged or conducted audits of internal systems, 43% had arranged audits of current vendors, 38% had increased cybersecurity spending, and 19% had increased spending on cybersecurity professionals and managed services. At the start of the year, the Department of Health and Human Services published its health and public health sector cybersecurity performance goals and stated that it is considering a carrot-and-stick approach, first making the cybersecurity goals voluntary, then moving toward further regulation to force healthcare organizations to take steps to improve cybersecurity. Any move to force healthcare providers to improve cybersecurity through increased regulation is likely to face strong resistance, as many healthcare providers simply do not have the funds to invest more in cybersecurity. The HHS is seeking additional funding from Congress to help low-resource healthcare providers implement those goals to improve cybersecurity, but at best the money will not start to be provided to hospitals until fiscal year 2027. The proposed financial assistance is also only focused on hospitals, not the myriads of suppliers that help keep the healthcare industry running smoothly. The HHS Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response and the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, have been working on identifying a list of systemically important entities that are critical to the function of the health system in the United States that could receive special attention. But that process is ongoing despite plans to finish the list a year ago. The HHS Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, is looking to take action to prevent similar attacks in the future from causing such widespread disruption and is currently planning oversight of third-party healthcare vendors. At Modern Healthcare's Leadership Symposium, CMS Principal Deputy Administrator Jonathan Blum said the agency is looking at the levers it can pull to ensure that severe disruptions like those caused by the Change Healthcare cyber attack can never happen again. The Change Healthcare cyber attack clearly demonstrates there is a major risk when companies become massively dominant in the healthcare ecosystem. In 2022, the Justice Department and the Attorneys General in Minnesota and New York took legal action to block UnitedHealth Group's acquisition of Change Healthcare due to the harm that would be caused to competition in health insurance markets. Since the cyberattack, there has been a great deal of criticism over UnitedHealth Group's anti-competitive practices with respect to the creation of a single point of failure that can cause massive disruption to healthcare across the United States. It is not just a problem with UnitedHealth Group, of course, as growing consolidation in the healthcare sector has created significant vulnerabilities to cyberattacks. The attack shows how UnitedHealth's anti-competitive practices present a national security risk because its operations now extend through every point of our healthcare system, said Anna Eshu, ranking member of the Energy and Commerce Committee's Subcommittee on Communications and Technology, at a hearing on the Change Healthcare cyberattack. The cyberattack laid bare the vulnerability of our nation's healthcare infrastructure. Given the example set by Change Healthcare, in the future mergers and acquisitions in healthcare should be subject to greater scrutiny, not just with respect to anti-competitive practices, but how and to what extent they could increase cyber risk. Some clinicians and providers have expressed concern that some of their patients' protected health information has been found on the dark web, but they do not currently have any contractual relationship with Change Healthcare/UHG and have not had a contractual relationship for years. Chime has asked how OCR will handle these situations. One of the problems with a data breach of this magnitude, which may have affected 1 in 3 Americans, is there will be many affected patients who have more than one payer. That could mean that those individuals may receive multiple breach notification letters, one from each affected payer. Such a situation could create undue stress and anxiety for those patients. Chime has asked OCR to explain the process for notification to ensure that those individuals only receive one notification. Chime has requested answers from OCR as soon as possible, as well as a meeting with Fontes Rayner to discuss these concerns. Compromised for each affected covered entity. The compromised information may include names, addresses, birth dates, diagnostic images, payment information, social security numbers, passport numbers, state ID numbers, and health insurance information. Medical charts and medical histories do not appear to have been stolen. The HIPAA breach notification rule requires covered entities to issue individual notifications without undue delay and no later than 60 days from the discovery of a data breach. OCR has confirmed that when a data breach occurs at a business associate, covered entities have up to 60 days to issue breach notification letters from the date they receive notification from their business associate. They can delegate responsibility for issuing notifications to the business associate, but they are ultimately responsible for ensuring that notifications are sent. OCR has confirmed that Change Healthcare may send notifications on behalf of the affected covered entities, and UnitedHealthcare Group has publicly stated that it will help the affected covered entities with the administrative and notification requirements. Each affected covered entity must coordinate with Change Healthcare regarding the sending of individual notifications. Change Healthcare said it anticipates mailing individual notification letters at the end of July for all affected covered entities that have asked Change Healthcare to issue notifications on their behalf, although up-to-date contact information may not be held for all of those individuals. The investigation into the breach and file review is ongoing, and Change Healthcare said it may identify further individuals who have been affected as the investigation progresses. The media notice and substitute notification posted Thursday, June 20th, 2024 is the next step in the process and consistent with the ongoing communication we have been providing regarding this cyber attack against Change Healthcare and the U.S. healthcare system, explained Change Healthcare. While the data review is in its late stages, we continue to provide credit monitoring and identity theft protection to people concerned about their data potentially being impacted. June 11th, 2024. Senators urge UHG to issue notifications about Change Healthcare ransomware attack before June 21st. On June 7, 2024, Senators Maggie Hassan, Democrat New Hampshire, and Marsha Blackburn, Republican Tennessee, wrote to UnitedHealth Group CEO Andrew Whitty urging him to take responsibility for issuing notifications about the February 21, 2024, ransomware attack on Change Healthcare and to promptly issue notifications to the affected individuals. The Office for Civil Rights, OCR, recently updated its website FAQ to clear up confusion about breach notifications, see below, and confirmed that UHG/Change Healthcare can legally send individual notifications on behalf of the affected covered entities. However, also confirmed that it is ultimately the responsibility of each affected covered entity to ensure that those notifications are sent. Prior to the publication of the OCR FAQ, UHG offered to issue notifications and undertake the related administrative requirements for the affected covered entities, but has not publicly confirmed that it is taking sole responsibility for issuing the notifications, nor has UHG formally notified the affected covered entities about the breach. To clear up any remaining confusion, the senators have called for UHG to formally confirm that it will be handling all of the breach notification requirements, including issuing individual notifications and notifying the media, state attorneys general, and OCR. At the House committee hearing on May 1, 2024, Witte confirmed that protected health information had been exposed, and while the scale of the breach was not known, said it could affect up to 1 in 3 Americans. The ransomware group publicly confirmed that patient data had been stolen well before that date. The senators claimed that UHG/Change Healthcare is already in violation of the HIPAA breach notification rule, as it has been more than 3 months since the discovery of the ransomware attack and notifications have still not been issued. The HIPAA breach notification rule requires notifications to be issued without undue delay and no later than 60 days from the discovery of the breach. The senators have called for Witte to immediately send them the plan for issuing notifications and to ensure that notifications are sent no later than June 21, 2024. Until notifications are issued, the affected individuals remain in the dark about the vulnerability of their personal data and health information. Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat, Oregon, has written to the chairs of the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, and Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, calling for UnitedHealth Group, UHG, executives to be held accountable for the ransomware attack that caused massive disruption and huge financial difficulties for providers across the country. As UHG CEO Andrew Witte explained in a recent hearing before the House Energy and Commerce Committee, a ransomware actor gained access to the internal network via a server that did not have multi-factor authentication, MFA, rendering it vulnerable to brute force attacks and compromised credentials, which is how a ransomware affiliate breached its network. For a company that processed the data of 1 in 3 Americans and was used by so many providers across the country, security should have been exceptional. However, breaching the network was straightforward for the ransomware group. As Senator Wyden explained in the letter, MFA is a basic security measure and one that a company as large as UHG should have comprehensively implemented. At the hearing, Witte explained that UHG has a policy requiring MFA to be implemented on all external-facing systems, but in some cases, such as when servers were running older technologies that have been updated, MFA may have been skipped due to compensatory controls being in place. Senator Wyden said that the board should have been aware that in those cases, skipping MFA was a bad idea. The failure to comprehensively implement MFA amounts to negligent cybersecurity practices, according to Senator Wyden. If MFA had been in place, the cyberattack and data breach could have been prevented, patients would not have been harmed, and providers' financial problems would have been avoided. Patients were prevented from obtaining their medications and had difficulty getting the care they needed, as many providers had to restrict hours or even close. Further, the harm is likely to continue as patient data is now in the hands of cybercriminals and can be used for identity theft and fraud. The personal and health information of military personnel was also stolen in the attack, and that information could be obtained by adversaries such as Russia and China, causing serious harm to U.S. national security. Senator Wyden believes that the attack was the direct result of corporate negligence, and the executives should be accountable for the lapses in security, including CEO Witte and the board of directors. In the letter, Senator Wyden called for FTC Chair Lena S. Khan and SEC Chair Gary Gensler to investigate UHG. The scope of damage and its cost has grown since the attack first happened. An American Medical Association survey found that 80% of clinicians lost revenue during the breach, 77% experienced service disruptions, 55% had to use personal funds to pay bills, and 44% were unable to buy supplies. One clinician shared with the survey that the incident may bankrupt our practice of 50 years in this rural community. Consequently, the attack, labeled the most significant and consequential incident of its kind against the U.S. healthcare system in history by American Hospital Association President and CEO Rick Pollack, has prompted consumer anger and investigations, as well as calls for more regulations and more rigorous evaluations of enterprise defense strategies. In an article by John Lydon, May 7, 2024, senior writer for CSOonline.com. John Lydon is a senior writer for CSO Online. He has written about computer networking and cybersecurity for more than 20 years. Change Healthcare went without cyber insurance before debilitating ransomware attacks. In doing so, Change exposed itself not just to greater financial risk, but reputational damage too. Congressional hearings have revealed that UnitedHealth was without cyber insurance coverage before a hugely debilitating ransomware attack on its Change Healthcare subsidiary. During questions before the U.S. House Energy and Commerce Committee, UnitedHealth Group CEO Andrew Whitty described the healthcare giant as self-insured, in confirming that insurance did not cover the $22 million ransomware payment it paid out to cybercriminals. Asked whether any part of UnitedHealth was covered by cyber insurance, a UnitedHealth representative referred CS Online back to Whitty's answer on self-insurance, adding, in reference to Whitty's latest testimony, that UnitedHealth spends approximately $300 million per year on cybersecurity. Clinics, hospitals, and pharmacies were unable to properly bill, manage, and issue prescriptions and medical procedures as a result of the attack. The resulting disruption has created a backlog of healthcare claims and payments that has posed a huge financial strain on medical practices and patients. UnitedHealth Group has advanced more than $6.5 billion in accelerated payments and no-interest, no-fee loans to thousands of providers. In response to the attack, Change Healthcare technology infrastructure has been rebuilt from the ground up. Change Healthcare's data center network and core services have been rebuilt with added server capacity and greater reliance on the cloud. Questions about insurance reimbursements and the extent of the breach, which also exposed the personal information and medical data of an estimated 1 in 3 U.S. citizens, were the focus of 2 hearings featuring Whitty last Wednesday before the House Finance and House Energy and Commerce Committees. Vulnerable portal lacked MFA. During the hearings, Whitty explained how cybercriminals used compromised credentials to remotely access a Change Healthcare Citrix portal, an application used to enable remote access to desktops, on February 12th, 9 days before the ransomware attack. The portal did not have multi-factor authentication, Whitty admitted. Having gained access into Change Healthcare systems, the cybercriminals moved laterally within its systems to expand the scope of the breach before exfiltrating data. UnitedHealth Group completed its acquisition of Change Healthcare in October 2022. The health conglomerate inherited an aging technology infrastructure with points of weakness that, with the benefit of hindsight, are now all too obvious. Having multi-factor authentication on externally facing services was UnitedHealth's policy even prior to the attack. It's just that this policy had at least one gaping hole. Without cyber insurance, UnitedHealth is left bearing the full cost of the attack. With insurance, it might have avoided not only the cost but also, perhaps, the attack itself. Cyber insurance is far from a panacea, but the process of contracting a breach protection policy can help companies achieve greater cybersecurity maturity, according to industry experts. When deciding on cyber insurance, an organization's risk tolerance is key. In UnitedHealth's case, not having insurance for its Change Healthcare division left it exposed financially and reputationally, said Michael Ajay, Director of Systems Engineering, EMEA, at security vendor Illumio. It's important that organizations don't view cyber insurance as a way of transferring risk but see it as an extra layer should the unexpected happen, said Ajay. In reality, businesses will need to put in place and demonstrate that they meet cyber insurance requirements at least 6 months in advance of asking for cover, much like we provide financial information ahead of obtaining a mortgage. Latest news: has Blackcat finished? A new Ransomware-as-a-Service (RAS) group calling themselves Cicada 3301 emerged in early June 2024 and has been using recruitment posts in dark web forums to attract new affiliates. As with many of the current active RAS organizations, Cicada 3301 uses double extortion, encrypting victim systems and stealing sensitive data. They have a data leak site, DLS, on the dark web where they have been posting victims since mid-June. The group has been observed encrypting Linux/VMware ESG in addition to Windows operating systems. Similarities with ALPHV/Blackcat. A recent analysis of Cicada 3301's ransomware conducted by cyber researchers discovered several significant code overlaps with the ransomware used by ALPHV, the prolific threat group who was targeted by law enforcement earlier this year and subsequently shut down their RAS. According to researchers from TrueSec, Cicada 3301 and ALPHV ransomware similarities include: written in Rust programming language. Use the CHA-20 algorithm for encryption. Use almost identical commands to shut down VM and remove snapshots. Use the same command parameters to provide a graphic output on encryption. Use intermittent encryptions on files larger than 100 megabytes. Use a similar naming convention for the ransom note file and the same key parameter used to decrypt the ransomware note. In addition to the code overlaps, Array has also observed similarities in the format and design of the Tor chats Cicada 3301 uses to communicate ransom payments to its victims. Like the Tor chats ALPHV used, Cicada 3301's has a similar layout, with certain words bolded in the instructions, a countdown timer, two prices listed based on whether the victim pays within the time limit posted, and payments are accepted in both Bitcoin and Monero. At this time, it is too early to assess whether the similarities between the two groups are coincidental, or if there is a connection in the form of a rebranding of ALPHV, a new group working with former developers from ALPHV, or if ALPHV's ransomware code was sold after the RAS shut down its operations earlier this year. Following ALPHV's exit scam and departure from the ransomware landscape, it was assumed members of the RAS would rebrand or reaffiliate with other threat groups, so any of these connections are plausible. However, with 24 victims already posted to its DLS in less than 3 months, Cicada 3301 already appears to be an emerging threat in the near term, regardless of who is ultimately behind the new RAS. If you have stayed to this point of the video, I thank you. I am Kelly Hector, the creator of this video. Please like and subscribe for more videos like these.